we will make a start, and hopefully they'll join us as we go along. So my name's Darryl Cotman. I'm Head of Financial Development at East Suffolk and North Essex Foundation Trust. And what that means is I'm responsible for ensuring the department is as qualified as it can be, but also promoting good finance governance out in the wider trust. And I'm just getting involved in helping sort of change and run our operational financial management team. Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, thanks, Darryl. Hello, everyone. Kind of belated happy Easter to everyone. My name's Sarah Brisbane. I'm currently working for Royal Papworth Hospital. A similar role to Darryl's. I'm Head of Financial Development. Just currently I'm kind of a 12-month secondment away from my old Head of Commissioning and Income, Robert. Nice to meet everyone today.
Thank you. Okay. So we're going to have a little look at, I guess, the one NHS Finance strategy to look at sort of recruitment and retention. We're going to look at some of the ways in which you can get involved and some of the things that we have used to get involved with schools and colleges. Look at some of the tools that are available. So, you know, you don't have to start from nothing. There's a lot of stuff already out there. And then we did a survey in the east of England just to see how organisations were getting on, and we'll touch on that at the end. So this is just a overhead from the promotion, recruitment and retention strategy by One NHS Finance. I guess with a lot of the announcements that have come out in the last few weeks around changes to NHS England, ICBs, and also the pressure on corporate costs that is going to come out to all organisations, I guess we'll need to watch this space in terms of some of these, but I think a lot of them are still relevant, but we might need to think in different ways about how we might achieve them. Clearly having good relationships with HR is a key. Our HR team are the ones that do most of the liaison with schools, and it's through them that we get sort of introductions to come to schools and take part in the events that they're organising. I think there's still a role for us to try and influence how finance staff are developed. I think it's probably even more important in terms of recent announcements. And I think when we talk about collaboration and duplication, I think we are going to be pushed into looking at those opportunities more closely. And you know, how can we get the right career structure for our staff? How can we still find time to promote recruitment, retention, and having a great career in NHS Finance? Touch on the apprenticeship levy. So if you're not already aware and you're not a big user of the apprenticeship levy, level 7, which is your full professional accountancy course, there are doubts of whether that will be available come July, August. The government has announced that they will be cutting certain level 7 courses, but they haven't said which ones. So that obviously is a little bit of a problem if you rely on your apprenticeship funding, which we do, for our full professional training in the main. I think most of the other things are things that we just should be doing as a matter of course, in terms of accreditation, obviously linking in with accountancy bodies if we've got students, and just ensuring that we connect with our organisation, with other organisations, with schools and colleges to promote NHS Finance. Okay, I'll stop there, and I think, Sarah, you're taking over.
Yep, thanks, Daryl. Thank you. I'm just going to talk a little bit about how you can get involved in this if you're not already. But just sort of going back to what Daryl was just saying about obviously all the announcements recently, and how that affects things. To me, it's kind of even more important that we make sure we look after our staff and we develop them in any way we can. And obviously bringing new talent into the organisation is sort of key to that as well. But just how you can get involved, again, as Daryl said, HR departments, they do a lot of careers fairs, recruitment teams, if you've got a recruitment team. So it's always worth piggybacking on, with them in terms of and promoting NHS Finance careers. But there's other ways you can get involved as well. So here so I'm in Cambridgeshire, and here in Cambridgeshire, we're very lucky to have an organisation called Form the Future, and they actually look for volunteers. So I've become a volunteer ambassador, for example, and they set up lots of talks in schools. So they will do that. And one of the ways is what that first one on this list here is, which is called a career carousel, which basically there's probably most of those schools, I think there's been about 8 to 12 people from different industries, and you get 10-15 minutes in a class, and then you rotate to the next class, etc. And it's a bit like speed dating, but speed promotion of your own career. And it's absolutely manic, I will say, but it's quite incredible. So the schools do different years as well, and I've been from year 8 right the way up to year 13. Year 8, I must admit, when they said it was year 8, I thought, I'm not really sure about this. Is it too young? They asked some amazing questions, absolutely incredible. So just sowing that little seed of how important finance is, and how things that they're doing in their everyday life actually are the type of skills that we need to develop to become a finance professional, like negotiation, communication. I always use the old how do you negotiate your pocket money type thing scenario with them, which they quite like. So career carousels are fantastic. Obviously, again, talking about apprenticeships in schools is another really good way of doing this. So Daryl said, we've got an apprenticeship levy and we need to utilise it in the best way we can. They've been fantastic. I think people look at the NHS and they think doctors, nurses, etc. They don't really think about the importance of those support functions like finance. So that's a really good way of going into schools and talking to them about apprenticeships. Another way is a lot of schools do practice interviews. So you can go in there and help, again, the students learn their interview skills, which, again, is just incredibly important. And careers fairs. Obviously, careers fairs are something that you have access to lots and lots of people at the same time, which again, is fantastic. I think someone's, Suzanne, you've just put something in the notes as well. Career safari. Wow, yeah, brilliant. I like the way that's put. I love the idea of a career safari. Next slide, please, Daryl.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that our organisation runs an annual sort of careers fair. We don't call it a safari. I might have to suggest that. But yeah, that is a really good way of promoting all NHS jobs, and we have hundreds and hundreds of students come through, and it's really busy but really good. Yeah, and we're going to show you some resources later in this presentation that you can use. It's not just about standing there and talking to people, it's about trying to engage them as well. I think certainly the careers fairs I've experienced, the students like to go for something where there's an activity there. So we'll talk about that in a second. So Form the Future, as I said, that's the one that we use in Cambridgeshire, and I think they're branching out into Suffolk as well. Inspiring the Future is, again, it's a similar organisation. It's one I've signed up to, but I've not had anything through yet, apart from actually an invitation to go and speak or something to do with work experience in London. So I don't think I've quite got my regions right there. But Inspiring the Future, again, is one to look out for. But try and find in your own areas, in your own systems, your own regions,
whether there's a similar organisation, because I'm pretty sure that these organisations must be, you know, working across the country. It's just finding them. But once you access them, they're absolutely fantastic. The work that they do is amazing. Yeah, so in terms of how you do this yourself, I think a lot of organisations, if not most, have got a widening participation lead or something very similar in title. Go and talk to them. You know, that I'm sure they'll be absolutely thrilled to have finance come along and speak at different events. And as I said, become a volunteer ambassador if you can find these organisations, because this is about empowering young people to fulfil their potential. And I will say on that, the apprentices that I've met at the events that I've done in the last 8-9 months, they've just been amazing. There was an apprentice from Amazon, but just incredible when they're talking in the same forums you're talking in. You just have to admire the dedication that they've got for learning, for developing themselves. It is just absolutely incredible, and just having some young people like this come into the organisation is just can only benefit, really. It's been absolutely fabulous meeting more people who have gone through the apprenticeship route themselves, and also learning how others are engaging the apprentices as well. Once you do have apprentices, and in terms of the type of things they do, it's eye-opening, and I really would recommend it. Okay, thank you, Carol. Thank you. Oh, sorry, that was the link there. That was the link that was hidden, but that's Inspiring the Future. If you do click on the link when you get the slides, that's where you'll end up to, and you can sign up to be a volunteer on that one. Sorry, Darryl, I don't know how that text obviously wasn't in a different colour. Just threw you totally. Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the tools that are available on the NHS Finance website, and I think again there's a link later on in this. There's quite a few. I believe they were developed by NHS colleagues, finance colleagues up in Durham. Absolutely incredible. So the higher lower game, Darryl's going to take you through in a minute, but it's one that's certainly I've adapted. You know, you don't have to use these tools as is. You can just take the concept, and that's one that we have used certainly in the Cambridge and Peterborough system to go out to all of our event fairs, and the students love it, absolutely love it. I'll let Darryl talk a little bit more about that in a second. I'm going to show you in a second as well a tool that again is on NHS Finance. It's a bit of a decision-making exercise, so something that might take a few more minutes, but again something that's really good. Careers websites, if you go on them, they're going to have tools on there. They're going to have lots of examples on there and things that you can utilise. So Darryl, if you can go on one, just so that is the link. When you do get the slides through, nice big section on it. When you click on that, that'll take you through to lots of things. There's like guidance documents, and also resources that you can download and print, and you can use those directly. So next one, thank you, Darryl. So this is just an example of one of those, the resources that are on the NHS Finance site. It seems very basic. So MRI decision-making exercise. So basically there's a problem, there was a fire at the hospital, and basically the MRI machine, it's had it. And there are 3 solutions. So you can see on the right-hand side of your screen here, there's like a little guidance note to sort of say this is what you should be looking for. And then there are 3 options. So again, 3 little notes that say, it might say the lead time, it might say the cost, it might say the ongoing servicing cost. In fact, it'd be everything that's actually in this. And what the groups then have to do is to make a decision based on those things. So they'll have a budget and they have to make a decision. And to be honest, it's not about getting a right answer. There is really no right answer. It's about encouraging them to think, and to think about, from a financial point of view, what you might consider when you are buying a replacement machine, particularly when it's not a planned replacement, it's happened in this scenario. So it's a really, really good challenge. And again, it's getting the students thinking, and that's really what we're trying to do more than just talk at them. Thanks, Daryl. And back to you.
So this is the higher and lower game. Again, it came from Durham colleagues, and I use this one a lot because when you're either competing with NHS professionals where they've got specimens with them, VRR showing how to do an operation, or you're at a wider careers fair, and a lot of them have interactive things that they can encourage children to come and talk, or students to come and talk with them. So this one usually gets their attention. And to be fair, I don't spend my time sitting behind a table waiting for people. I go out there, and if I see a little group that aren't quite sure where they want to go to, I ask them to come across. You know, do you fancy doing a quick quiz? And you know, a hospital bed, you know, they'll say a couple of £100. When it costs 12 grand, although I did see one come through a purchase order for 6 grand for a bed, so maybe the costs are coming down a little bit more at the moment, but it just promotes a conversation. There's, like Sarah says, there's no right or wrong answer, and then you get them to compare with an ECG system. So the way some people think, well, it's just a bit of a computer, so they go lower. But some people think, well, it's really important piece of kit monitoring somebody's heart, so they go higher. So it's interesting how people think about it. And it is, well, on this basis, it is actually a lower cost. And then we can get into sort of the wider discussions about the NHS. So this is the little hook, and then you can have more of a chat with them after that. These are the career websites that I tend to use. So I usually have my laptop with me. I take an extra monitor so that I can show things to students if needs be. But having the careers in finance, one NHS Finance website, I think is really important. If you are representing the NHS because you're at a sort of wider careers fair, I have the Health Careers website open. Clearly I can't talk in a huge amount of detail about clinical professions, but yeah, I'll do my best and point them to doing the quiz. There's a great quiz on there, and then that gives them an idea of roles that might suit them. And then some of them, and usually these are guys they've already done some research and a bit switched on, might want to talk to you about the graduate management training scheme. Again, that's another good website to have available, just so they know. Obviously it's a really competitive, so I guess knowing that the reality, I think last year it was like 25,000 applicants for about 300 jobs, so it's a tough one, but worth them knowing about. Okay, I think back to you now, is it? Have I got that right?
Yes, thanks, Daryl. Yeah. Just before I sort of talk about the survey that we've done in the East of England, I think similar, Daryl, don't wait for people to come to you, and yeah, don't ideally be behind the desk either, because yeah, they're not going to come to you. My little tagline is to go out to them and say, do you like shopping? Because invariably they do, and then it's would you like to see what our shopping list looks like in the NHS? So that's kind of my little pull in as well. Just find your own. It's honestly, there are ways of getting them in. As Daryl said, the high-low game is brilliant. It doesn't matter about the costs. It's about getting them talking about it. I think the one I'm doing at the moment's got like theatre lights in, which are certainly using these numbers incredibly expensive. And they always end up down the other end because I think it's just a few light bulbs and a bit of metal holding them on. So it's to get them talking. And that's really what it's about. So the PRNR strategy in the East of England, we conducted a survey to just try and find out really what our baseline was looking like in a lot of the different areas. So Daryl, on to the next one, please. We just thought it'd be helpful to share this with you. If nothing else, you can get a gist of the kind of questions and the kind of information that we were looking for. So, yep, the PR&R strategy in the East of England, we developed a survey in January. So we wanted to find out more about what was happening in terms of work experience schemes, apprenticeships, graduate schemes, and looking towards collaborative system working, particularly in opportunities. So particularly with the running costs and having to reduce everything, working together becomes even more important. And that's something that obviously we need to probably do more of. Okay, thank you, Daryl. We'll probably skip over this one. This was just basically the organisations that responded to the survey. You could just move on to the next one. Thank you. So work experience, that was the first one. So do we offer work experience in our organisations? And as you can see, there was quite a split here. We made sure that we had in our survey the ability to put some free text in, because see there are different things going on. There were barriers, and a lot of this is to do with funding. You won't be surprised to hear. Particularly where, like we said, about vacancy freezes or reduction in establishments. And as I say, that really does make it important that we start working together on this as well, which kind of leads me on to the next slide, really, which is a specific work experience, which is access accountancy. So again, certainly in East of England, we had 4 organisations that had taken part in the access accountancy scheme. And again, working on this together probably helps. So, for example, in the East region, this July, Adam Brooks, Papworth, and the regional NHS England team are working together to provide a week-long work experience. So we're finding that working together means we don't have the same demands on each of our organisation. We're not saying the same things. We can get a nice variety across the 3 organisations. And again, just working together, collaboratives is a good thing at the moment.
So the access accountancy scheme, if you don't know what it is targeting students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So it is a specific targeted area.
Yeah, thanks, Daryl.
Moved on.
So, yeah, over to you, I think, Daryl.
Yeah. Okay, so we looked at where people were offering apprenticeships. I think this is something that we organised as a region initially. There might have been some apprenticeships going on already, but we had a sort of a regionally administrated opportunity, which is why I think we've got quite a few in the region at the moment. So my organisation had one in the first round. I think our issue is that we funded it by offsetting it against a vacancy. So yeah, I think with the announcement of the challenges that we've got from a corporate perspective, we're going to have to look really closely at how we organise things, because yeah, the things that Sarah's spoken about in terms of apprenticeships, undergrads, GMTS even, we've always used vacancies to fund them, and now I think going forward we're going to have to try and build them into the structure, because I don't think we'll have that luxury going forward. But obviously sort of trying to keep your apprenticeships, especially if they're done really well, is something that, again, I think that collaborative working that we need to sort of look on in terms of, yeah, if we can't keep them in our organisation, can they find a job in the system or in the neighbouring system? So I think that's a positive way forward. Then just looking at grads and undergrads, a lot of them are getting involved in gap year students. Again, we have had one. We haven't had one this year. but again, we were allocating them against the vacant posts. And then on the graduate management scheme, we've got one at the moment. They're just about coming to the end of their time with us, but I think grads seem to want to gravitate to the large cities. So I think we have struggled to encourage them to come out into sort of the wider geography. But again, I mean, they provide a different opportunity. They're people that should be pushed to do as much as they can, which can benefit the organisation, but also benefits in preparing that individual for a significant career in the NHS, hopefully. But again, obviously, this information is as at now, and obviously is a bit worrying in terms of how that might look moving forward.
Yeah, can I just add to that, Darrell, as well?
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, we've done this survey, and it's easy to say, well, you've done a survey, what on earth's going to come out of it? So one thing that's already coming out of it is we know that there are still a number of organisations that have got undergrads through the Skills Development Network. So we are setting up a network for those undergrads. So here in Cambridgeshire Peterborough, in the East of England region, we've had like a student network, but it's never involved the undergrads. And I think they felt a little bit not on their own, because obviously they're within their own organisation, but they haven't been able to network with each other. So that's just one advantage that this has already given us, one success story, I'm guessing, that we are going to be setting up an undergrad network, and we know now which organisations have got them, and so we can actually directly communicate with those people as well. So it's a survey that is done for a reason. Not just to give us an overview of where we are with everything, but actually we want to have actions from it. And I just think that's really important as well.
Okay, so that was all that we were proposing to talk to you guys about. Obviously, we've got plenty of time to answer any questions or get any comments. So I'll open it up. Is it all fairly straightforward? Isabel.
Hiya. Thank you for your presentation. I'm hoping to get a bit involved with kind of going out to, like, I think they're teenage age. I think they're probably secondary school, and I haven't done anything like this before. So I wondered if you have. I think you've already said about like different, like the activities and getting people involved and encouraging them to think about how it relates to what they already do. But I just wondered if you've, I don't know, got any tips if I'm a bit nervous or anything like that.
I think there's a lot of students out there that they want to learn, they want to understand. So I think it's I guess it's when I was growing up that the opportunities to sort of get involved in this sort of thing just hardly existed. So I think the fact that you've got that opportunity to go out and promote the NHS is, just be confident and be proud of your organisation, of what the NHS stands for. And I think just having a quick look at the tools package that and use the ones that you're comfortable with using, and find your own way of engaging with the students, because it is about finding that hook. But I just found out really quickly, if you just stand behind a desk and smile, nothing's going to happen. So you've got to actually go and work. You have to work the floor, and obviously that takes a little bit of confidence. But which is why I use the high lower game, because you can walk up to anybody and say, you're interested in doing a quiz. Most of them will say yes, and then bring them over. And I like the shopping analogy that Sarah used as well. That's another good way of sort of getting that introduction in. Sarah, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think it obviously depends whether you're like at a careers fair and you've got lots of people milling around, or
Hmm.
whether you're actually going into a school. I would say if you're in the careers fair scenario, yeah, do exactly what Daryl said, walk the floor and bring them in. But
Yeah.
talk, so before you start saying, "Oh, I'm from NHS Finance" and all the rest of it, ask about them.
Mm.
Okay, what do you like doing? Um, because they might say things, you know, we don't want them to think you just have to be good at maths
Hmm.
to be an NHS Finance. That's not what it's about. So when they say, oh, I'm doing photography, I'm doing something else and something else, there's usually something there that you can relate to a career in the NHS.
Hmm.
Did you know you could do that in the NHS? So asking about them, they like to talk obviously about what they're doing. Some of them are a bit shy, but usually they go in packs. I think, don't they, Daryl, tend to.
Yeah.
So there's usually, like, most of them will have a say. And then once you started talking, you kind of got that little bit of rapport with them. And then you can start talking about, well, come and have a look what I do, or come and have a look at this. So yeah, do you like shopping? Come and have a bit of this. So I think that would be kind of a top tip as well. But ask about them,
Yeah.
because then they'll talk to you to start with. A lot of them are quite shy. When you go into the classrooms, it's kind of a different beast, to be honest with you. Now, I will say some classes I've done have been quite difficult. Others have been absolutely fantastic. And a lot of it depends on the teacher, and how much the teacher controls them. But again, it's finding something that they are good at. So that's why I kind of use the pocket money analogy. Do any of you have part-time jobs, or do you earn pocket money? What if you've got just a pair of trainers or something that you want that's £30, but you've only got £20, and you know it's going up to 40 quid next week? What can you do to make sure you get that, that thing that you want, those pair of trainers or whatever it is? And they got to start thinking about, well, I might ask for a loan up front, or I might ask to do a bit extra. I might ask for an increase. So it gets them thinking about that kind of negotiation and everything. It's really judging from whichever situation you're in, but you'll be amazed at how quickly your confidence grows. I think that's something. Once you start talking to them, you realise they're all right. And the other top tip, if you have an apprentice, either in your organisation or your system, who's been through it, take them, because you sound an awful lot younger than me. But when I go, I realise I'm at probably the opposite end of my career. We've got someone from Northwest Anglia Hospital, and he's absolutely fantastic. He's been through the apprenticeship. He's now fully qualified, and he's 24 years old. It's a great role model to take. So, do think about taking someone who's been there and done it as well quite recently, because again, it reinforces that message of what you can do. This is what you could do. Does that help?
That's brilliant. Thank you both so much. Thank you.
I think the other thing, if you're here representing your organisation and you're going to take information back, is we try to encourage students that used to go to the school that is having the careers fair to go, and we get a lot of positive feedback. Some of them go, oh, I wonder whether the teachers are still there when I was there, and some are, some aren't, but that's usually motivates some of the team to actually go back to their old school. And the other thing, just to say, if you're doing like a classroom presentation, have some information about earnings potential in terms of, general entry level, AAT qualified, fully qualified, deputy director of finance director, because they do tend to say, how much can you earn? So if you've got that information to hand, it's helpful.
Yeah, and I would say exactly. I think that is a guaranteed question, isn't it, Daryl? It's usually, what do you earn? And then you've got to deflect it slightly. This is the pay scale we use. This is what you come in at. You want to find out what I earn, you go and find it then. It's probably out there somewhere. But yeah, they usually ask that, and they're usuly shocked, to be honest with you. If you sort of say you're band 8D, 9 senior managers, execs, what they can earn, they are a little bit shocked. So yeah, guaranteed question, that one. Be ready for that one.
Okay. That's brilliant. Thank you both so much. Thank you.
Any more? Unless we can let you get back to your day job.
thanks very much for listening to us anyway. And if you can share anything that you're doing as well, that would be fantastic. Because yeah, we're not experts, are we, Daryl? But we're always out for new things that we can do as well.
Absolutely, still with pride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ether, shall we hand back to you now?